everyone. Hope you are feeling refreshed after the break. We now move on to the session 10 of the Faculty Development Program. I am Tulsi Agarwal, Assistant Professor at Ishan Institute of Management and Technology. Before introducing our next resource person for the day, I request all the participants to mark their attendance in the chat box as well as in Microsoft form for which link has been shared in the group. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our esteemed resource person, Ms. Michele El Sayah. She holds an MBA from the University of Manchester and BA in Economics from American University of Beirut. Her expertise spans strategic development, stakeholder engagement, healthcare consulting, and brand management. She is a result oriented consultant, marketer, and certified health coach with over 15 years of cross industry consulting across the EMEA region. She has successfully led high impact projects with leading organizations, including the Abu Dhabi Department of Health, National United Procurement Company in Saudi Arabia, and IQVIA Switzerland and Germany. A very hearty welcome to our Faculty Development Program, ma'am. We are truly honored to have you with us today. I am sure your insights will truly add value to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Should I get started?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. We know once you can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is clearly visible.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, ma'am.
We're gonna start. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here. I'm just trying to log in also to my phone. Just double checking you're not hearing me twice. If you're
No,
okay,
ma'am.
just
Yes, ma'am.
okay, perfect. Because I
Okay.
want to open the chat on the phone to make sure I get all your comments.
Okay.
All right. Just give me a second. Great. So when my previous colleague Tushar reached out to me to support in giving this session, I was really thrilled. I'm very happy that such esteemed institutions are highlighting the importance of training teachers, and I believe when we stop learning, we stop living. So it's really great. I was part of partial session of the speaker who just wrapped up now. I'm really happy to see the different topics discussed, and hopefully this session is gonna add value to you as it added to me when I was preparing it. I would just like to ask you to be interacting with me. I don't want it to be a one-way discussion. So whenever you can add comments in the chat box, I have the chat box in front of me. Let's make it interactive and fun, because I understand now it's session number 10, so you might have heard a lot already. I don't want to make it boring. I want to make it interactive and fun, and I want you to learn as well. Okay, great. So moving to the first question, I want you to start commenting in the chat box whatever comes to mind if AI should be allowed in education in the first place. The main topic of the presentation will revolve around challenges of using AI in education. However, first, maybe let's take a step back and think, should it be allowed in education before thinking of the opportunities, the challenges, and the ethical considerations, etc. So maybe I'll just give you a minute to jot down your thoughts, and then we'll continue. And it would be great if you want to add your thoughts to say yes, why, and no, why not as well. Okay, I'm going to move forward. So definitely living in a tech invaded let's say globe, and now AI invaded globe. We have numerous challenges, numerous opportunities. I think the key is how to balance all of those. So whether we allow it in education or we don't allow it, the key is how we can balance, how we can use AI in moderation. Definitely many challenges will arise because this is maybe a new concept being introduced in education and in different sectors. Different challenges including first on the technical front, on the privacy front, on the laziness front as well. I think we tend to all be more lazy if we only rely on AI. How teachers are trained to use it. Is it embedded in the curriculums? Will they be biased if they use only AI to assess the students, etc.? Many challenges that we will discuss throughout the presentation. Okay, great. So moving forward, I have also made use of an article that challenged the concept of AI in education here in Beirut and Lebanon. And I would like you to just to see what different students, teachers, and parents thought. This study has been done on 115 teachers and 200 students, where 76% of the students supported the integration of AI, definitely. Why would they not support it? Because it definitely makes their lives easier. However, we have another portion, 8% felt it does not add any value, and 16 remains uncertain. However, just I would like to mention that this is only one study, but I wanted to start the discussion with some numbers and with a study that has been published as well. Moving on to what the teachers thought, 84% thought it has a positive impact on their teaching methods, regardless if they have guidelines to use it, how they are using it, if it incurs any bias or if it has any repercussions, be it positives or negative. The majority were in favor. And not surprisingly as well, 100% of the parents supported the use of AI in education because they mentioned that it contributes to personalizing their children's learning experiences. Maybe it made things as well faster for the children, tailored the different educational resources, etc. Now, when we think of AI, we think of maybe be it able to add the, let's say, a personalized part or to adaptive learning system to enhance the educational outcomes. How are we doing that? Because we're able to facilitate the delivery through an adaptive learning model, giving real-time, timely feedback to the students, different interventions targeted to the different student needs. For example, one student engagement level needs to be on a different level from another student. This is what also AI and tailoring the needs to every student allows for it to be, and enhancing learning achievements. So this is what it promises us. However, this doesn't happen without any challenges. For example, if I want to talk about Lebanon or also about India, we might have some different economic challenges throughout the country because the infrastructure is not equally distributed. We don't have the similar capabilities across the country, be it on the educational front or on the technological front. We have inadequate infrastructure. What about the number of teachers available and the training given for the teachers to support the AI embedding in the different training methods? So before jumping into the challenges, I would like us also to take a moment to think of the opportunities. I know maybe those have been also discussed in other sessions, but I would like to tap into them just even if briefly, and I would like to hear from you as well. So please, in the chat box, if you'd like to add some comments, I would be happily read those as well. I can see you have answered before that AI should be allowed. However, a limit must be put. Definitely agree to a certain extent, up to a certain limit. So I think we might agree, maybe not everyone, that we can use AI. However, a balance should be there. It saves time. This is great. Speed of work. This is also great. Okay. So in terms of advantages, I'd like to focus maybe on a couple of advantages here. So first, there is the first two, let's say, the increase in interactivity. Definitely, things are faster. Maybe they are more fun for the students, more dynamic. The way we're learning, it's not very static. So one way where the teachers explain and the students are just listening, maybe there's more interaction. So maybe this makes it more interesting. Personalized learning, as we mentioned before, we can tailor the different educational let's say, topics, path, backgrounds for the different students, even in the same classroom, which makes it maybe more interesting and facilitates the learning path for the student. Because let's say we have 10 students in the classroom and the levels are not similar, then we can maybe personalize the learning based on their levels as well. Moving to the instant feedback, as I mentioned, what's nice about different AI tools is that it gives feedback early on. However, here we also have to question the feedback. I think take it with a grain of salt to see based on what is this feedback given? Is it biased? Did it take all aspects into consideration? And also, where is the human aspect in this feedback? Where is the role of the teacher in this feedback? Because I believe we can never only rely on the tool itself without having the human integration in this in how we give feedback to the students. Also, finally, two other opportunities are being able to make data-driven decisions. It's not that now we cannot make them, but it could be easier to have them because we have the data in hand. And also reducing administrative burden, which I think maybe most of the teachers would agree. That way we can focus more on the content rather than the logistics behind the content, on how to make it more enjoyable for the teachers and also for the students in terms of content. Right. Okay, now to move to the more interesting part of the discussions. Now I'd really like to hear from you, maybe from personal experience or from the different sessions you have been part of as part of this learning program. What were the main challenges in implementing AI? And it would be really interesting to hear personal stories, not only generic challenges. I will share a couple of personal stories as well with you. And yeah, network issues, great. High cost, definitely because the AI tools have a subscription fee usually, and usually it's definitely not affordable to everyone. Can enhance our lives. In the long run, it carries the risk of addicted use, similar to mobile phones, I agree, because it makes us more lazy, unfortunately. And if we have the opportunity to be maybe to rely on AI and use our brains less, maybe this is something we're gonna do moving forward. Lack of understanding about the prompt. If I understand this comment correctly, it's very interesting because usually the prompt you give to the tools affect a lot the output you get. So if you don't really understand what you're asking, then you can get a different output. And if you're really not questioning the output, then it could be a problem. Ethical concerns, yes, definitely. Okay, thank you. I'd like here to start before talking about the challenges to give two examples where we will relate to them after we finish discussing the challenges, just to see what were the outcomes specifically. So the first example is Delhi University, and the main topic was the digital divide and AI integration. So when the university piloted different AI-based proctoring tools, many students didn't have the, let's say, level of a reliable, stable, continuous internet and the suitable devices also. So the infrastructure, be it in hardwares or in softwares, was not present. So the challenge faced was, let's say, the split between rural and urban areas where we have different connections and not all students could participate. So this raises a question mark, definitely. And we're going to discuss this more in the challenges. The second example are in US public schools, the different ethical issues by using AI to grade. So different schools were rolling out a program to use AI assisting grading softwares to reduce the workload for the teachers. Rightly so, it could be used this way. However, they have noticed that there is some bias and where we are awarding higher grades to students with better writing styles. However, writing style was not really relevant when it comes to the actual content of the essays, of the the content quality of whatever they were grading in this case. Okay. One second. Sorry, just a moment. Not sure why. Okay, perfect. So starting with the first two challenges, or different challenges we're going to discuss, I'd like to start with the different technical issues, maybe cost of implementation, and also the unequal distribution or the unequal infrastructure that we have in some countries. And this example applies to both Lebanon, where I come from, and India, where the majority of the room comes from as well. So in many areas in our countries, we have maybe perfect infrastructure that would be maybe closer to the main cities. We don't have connectivity issues to connect. We have the distribution of infrastructure, be it in education and in technology. So in those areas, then we are okay. We won't have maybe this challenge. However, in other areas where we have technical issues, we have higher cost maybe of implementation, like good, I don't know, fiber optics, good internet, and the infrastructure as well behind it, we're going to face some division of the digital divide where we lead to unequal learning opportunities to both the students and to also the teachers themselves, who maybe won't be able to apply any AI or to use any AI tools, maybe to grade or to support in their teaching methods. So, which would raise the question mark, is education being equal for all or not? So, before we address this, really, this concern and this challenge, it is really unfair to apply this in some schools or in some areas and not apply this in other areas. So, this question mark remains. Okay, I'm just reading the comments. Okay. The next challenge was over-reliance on technology. Definitely, some people here mentioned that the other side of this challenge, or maybe the benefit, is relying on technology. Maybe will save time. Maybe it decreases cost. Also, it gives us more ideas. Definitely, it's a good prompt if you're starting to write an essay, if you're starting to solve a problem. It gives you a different facets, let's say, of how to resolve an issue. However, we can become too dependent, and this is what's happening now on the different AI tools. We're not using our critical thinking anymore, independent learning skills. Um, so I had this issue. Let me give you an example with some of our teammates in our latest project in Abu Dhabi, where we were trying to come up with a current state assessment, benchmarking practices to the early childhood authority in Abu Dhabi. And we just asked ChatGPT on what are the different entities of early childhood in the UAE specifically. And they really, the output was given by ChatGPT was not really accurate. We had some entities listed that didn't really exist. But had we not double checked the output, we could have, I don't know, like seemed really unprofessional in front of the client. The results could have been like rated false, definitely. So an over reliance on the results and on what AI tools give us is really not let's say not ideal for now. And it still needs our human hats and human intervention to be able to give better results in the end. Moving to anyone would like to add anything on maybe those two challenges before we move to the other sets of challenges? Okay. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Well, The third and fourth set of challenges were the policy and regulatory gaps and the level of readiness of different faculty members. The first one was honestly is very important to say that we still lack maybe clear guidelines or clear policies, different frameworks to be able to guide be it the teachers or different people using AI tools on how to use it, what are maybe the different considerations to take in mind, how to make sure we're not biased, and how we really apply it to the benefit of all without harming any of the parties actually using it. And actually initiating the policies should be happening by users of those tools because they would be knowing what would be the best policy here to implement. Let's say in the education sector, definitely teachers should be an active participant of initiating those guidelines, those frameworks to be able to apply them as well. In terms of faculty readiness as well, I'd like to talk about the different trainings for teachers that maybe are still lacking here. We're still at the nascent stage to maybe teach the teachers how can we effectively implement the different use of AI in the classrooms. What is the, let's say, where is the limit to maybe overuse or underuse AI with the different grades and different topics and different also maybe curriculums as well. How maybe as well we can integrate it into curriculum, integrate it in how we're giving the class, how we're making it more interactive. Data privacy and security, and I think this is something that was mentioned by the um, uh, speaker before me. I grasped this that definitely right now, like if we put any prompt on ChatGPT or on any other AI tool, this can be used in other, I mean, outputs for other people. For example, different research studies can be used. The Ghibli effect, where everyone around the world, I think you've done it, I've done it. We've put our personal pictures for them to generate an AI image of us. This is something that maybe they can freely use right now. And a recent article I read is that people specifically in Lebanon were using AI tools for mental health support, like to maybe enter the different issues, the different problems, to hear feedback from ChatGPT. Okay, this happened. What should I do? Or how do I deal with this situation or this person or that person? Which could also raise question marks on how valuable are the outputs that the ChatGPT is giving to the different agents or people using it. Yeah. Finally, in terms of challenge, um, there is a question mark on how reliable and what is the quality that the AI tools are giving us. There is definitely potential for bias in the content given, if we're not integrating into curriculum, bias in the assessments given, as we mentioned in the example given in the US. The assessment was maybe giving better grades for people who have nice handwriting. And here the main question is that we can ask ourselves is, should AI be ever replacing our judgment as humans? I would like really to hear from you in the chat. It's interesting. And then I give you what I would think as well. Maybe we can take a minute just to recap the challenges, be it having technical issues, inadequate infrastructure in terms of technology infrastructure across different countries, which could generate unequal learning opportunities and unfairness. Um, Also, the over reliance on technology, which also invites us to be more lazy and have less critical thinking and rely more on the outputs given by the AI tools. The lack of policy and regulatory uh, guidelines, frameworks to guide our usage of those AI tools, faculty readiness, and the teacher training on the different usage of AI tools to serve the to best serve the different students, definitely. Data privacy and security, and how we can maybe protect our maybe images, research, etc., and quality and reliability of the different tools to avoid bias. Right. Okay. So reviewing those two examples, example of Delhi University and the example of US public schools, what was the, let's say, outcome and the takeaway from those two examples? So we have seen in Delhi University where many students were not able to, let's say, were facing different disconnections. They couldn't participate, let's say, at all. Then this was definitely criticized. And we faced issues of fairness, we faced issues of exclusions. So the takeaway is that before we implement any AI tools or any AI support, we have to give the proper infrastructure and to give alternative options in case we are placed in a, let's say, an area that doesn't have the access to those tools. Yes. In terms of US public schools, the issue is that we gave an AI-assisted grading software that deemed to be biased. We're given higher grades to students with better writing styles. So it was bad news for people who didn't really have a nice writing style. However, the content quality of those might have been better from people who have better writing styles. Definitely, we had protests from both parents and teachers, which here makes us question who really asked to implement this grading software. If teachers also protested, maybe it was the school who imposed it then. That's why here putting the guidelines and having the teachers participate in putting those guidelines is very key. And here the takeaway, having a balance between the tool and the human oversight really is key to avoid any fairness issues and to make sure we're all accountable the right way. Okay. Okay. Now, also, I'd like to hear from you in the chat box, moving to the next topic, which is different ethical consideration in AI for education. What do you think? What about the ethical considerations? Should we have any? Not really. Maybe we tapped into some of them, but I'd like to hear from you. Any thoughts? Fairness, definitely. What about also data privacy? The different guidelines present to ensure we are using it ethically. We're not abusing the use of AI tools. Transparency is really nice, yeah, definitely. Confidentiality, addressing the data privacy, definitely. Okay, great. So you have touched into some of them, using content from the source and not acknowledging it, definitely. This is a nice comment because also it reminds me that sometimes different AI tools don't even give you the source of the outputs generated. So what makes it really reliable? What makes it ethical to really actually use an output without having the source? It's not very, yeah, reliable in this case. Privacy, AI hallucination. Yes. Okay. So we definitely have different ethical considerations. You have mentioned them. So I would like to cite again data privacy, fairness, accountability, definitely. Um, different stakeholders in the educational ecosystem, be it students, teachers, and the parents, definitely express different roadblocks, challenges, concerns. transparency, as you mentioned, in how the technologies are operating, and the ethical guidelines. Here I have a question for you. Do you really think we can put ethical guidelines for AI, and do you think you, as teachers, as professors, you should be agents in generating those ethical guidelines? And maybe where can you start? Where could be the starting point in this case, if you want to put some ethical guidelines? I'd really love to hear from you here because I think it's a key point, generating those guidelines and implementing them. Yeah, co-developing them maybe with uh, different faculty members, different administrators, different also technical people like developers. However, really participating in setting up those guidelines as well. Human oversight, definitely. Great. We have here some recommendations. I would like maybe to start with the first one. Since implementing AI in education is fairly new, I'm not going to say it's new, however, it's fairly new. Maybe I can read this comment. We as teachers should follow the ethics to become a role model for students. Definitely. This will teach students on how to use AI as well, and not to abuse it, but to have balance. Balance is key, I think. So here the first recommendation is to conduct longitudinal studies. And by longitudinal studies, we mean conducting, let's say, a study on 100 students on the period of 3 years. The same 100 students observed and data is collected over the 3 years on the same, let's say, pool of students. This will allow us to have different outcomes and to assess and compare the outcomes on their long-term impact, of using those AI tools, technologies, and this will give us insights over the years, which could allow us also to plan, like on the short term and the long term, to assess the risks, the next steps, and what are the different changes required in this case. The next recommendations are in developing ethical guidelines, definitely. Those ethical guidelines could raise different concerns and address those concerns, like raise the risks and mitigate them as well, related, as you mentioned, to the transparency, to the having human oversight, data privacy and security, addressing the algorithmic bias, also transparency in the different system, mentioning also maybe integrating in the curriculum the different points required, um, assessing the different rules to oversee the usage of AI and to implement those rules, maybe also addressing the fairness and assessing the different students, and making sure we have a balance of usage of AI tool and human oversight as well. This is very key, and in the different academic bodies to set, align, and implement those frameworks or those ethical guidelines as well, to make sure we don't have any abuse and it is implemented fairly. The next part is related in terms of recommendation is enhancing the teacher training. And honestly, the more agile the training, the better. By agile, we mean improving those training programs as we go. So if we thought, okay, we put a 3 month training, however, we need 1 more month, we need more modules in this training to improve it as we go, to add the necessary knowledge, know-how, skills, integrating the different technologies into the different teaching practices, different topics, different assessment methods, different curriculums, to avoid over-reliance on technology, also from the teacher's part, and fairness to the students and fairness to the teachers as well. The last recommendation is about collaboration across different stakeholders. And this is really key because it gives the perspective of every stakeholder from in the different value chain, in the value chain, in the educational value chain, be it educators, be it also policymakers, academics, researchers, students, even we can have a student board to take their input as well, teachers, to be able to collaborate all together to come up with the different guidelines and to make sure we implement them. What would be also recommended is to have an update on those guidelines and an update on those collaborations every quarter, every 6 months, every year, depending on the context, and the need, definitely. Workshops for teachers can be conducted definitely, and this is something that can be done periodically and not a one-time thing. It can be done, as I mentioned, maybe monthly or quarterly or every 6 months, depending on the need. So this is in terms of recommendations, just to wrap up as well. Different studies across a period of time will give us a better view because we're going to monitor the same, let's say, group of students or group of teachers throughout a period of time. The ethical guidelines for the usage, making sure we embed data privacy, transparency, accountability, enhancing the teacher training, and make it the more agile, the better, and also fostering collaboration across different stakeholders to make sure everyone in the value chain and in the education ecosystem is involved. Really, maybe I'd like here to pause for a minute also to see what you think on how we can balance the different opportunities and challenges from everything we have discussed and also everything you have heard throughout the different sessions. How do you think we can balance all of this? What do you think is, let's say, the top three recommendations or the top three conclusions here that could allow this? I'd love to hear from you also in the chat. The question we can reflect on maybe, and if you want to hear your thoughts in the chat, is that how we can move things forward, given everything we've heard and everything we know, all the roadblocks and all the challenges and all the opportunities. How can we make the best of all worlds using AI ethically? Definitely. AI literacy is also important, definitely. That's why workshops to teachers, or not even only to teachers, to all users of AI is very important. Defining AI and defining the guidelines on how to use it is also very important. Okay, so this brings us to the conclusion of our presentation. I know I'm way ahead of time, but this gives us some time for Q&A. So definitely, integrating tech and AI gives us many advancing opportunities. As we mentioned earlier, adaptive learning, personalized, tailored learning, different efficiency and effectiveness in teaching methods. However, different technical limitations, ethical concerns, um, unequal infrastructure, bias, the data privacy, unfairness raise a question mark. Ensuring the balanced approach. So I think here the main conclusion, in addition to the recommendation, is moderation and balance, as like everything in life, like taken in moderation, in balance, where we don't abuse the usage of AI, would preserve the, let's say, the fairness for students, also would give teachers some flexibility in terms of having the support of AI, but also having the human oversight that they can add, and making sure we have the right infrastructure and equitable access to the different educational tools, technologies for people to use. Wisdom is key, definitely. Applying wisdom is always recommended. However, sometimes if we lack the wisdom, that's why having the ethical guidelines, ethical frameworks put in place and implemented and imposed would safeguard and protect the
Yeah, ma'am.
users.
Can you describe the future of AI in education? AI can be ethical in education for education. Can I repeat my question again? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, please.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. What is the future of AI in education? And is it still
Um,
ethical for an educator to use AI? You know, the AI can harm the logical thinking of a student.
yeah,
Do you think so?
okay. Yeah, I think thank you for your question, Deepak. Very interesting question. I think it can harm if we abuse using AI, definitely. It can make the student over reliant on AI. That's why some rules and regulations should be applied whenever we want students to use AI, maybe to support their work. Similar to how we used to have open book exams. Now we can maybe use AI to prepare for our answers in the exam. However, to have maybe sets of rules and regulations to allow the student to have a mix of both. Okay, let them use AI. However, let them use also their human oversight, their critical thinking, their shared knowledges, maybe collected throughout the year to apply them during the exam or during any assessment, which would I think allow the teachers to have better, not better, but fair grading also for the students, because they would be actually grading the student and their work, which is a mix of maybe using AI and their own knowledge. Because at the end of the day, the student is gonna graduate, not the AI tool, hopefully. So if we have the rules, implement them, then we can, I think, fairly assess the students and it invite the student not to overly rely on AI. In terms of the future of AI, honestly, this question is very broad, but I think this depends also on the sector. If it's the future of AI in science, in, I don't know, math, in English, I think we can have different advancement in different sectors depending on the needs of every sector. And some sectors might lag behind, or some topics might lag behind other sectors, but I foresee many advances there. What would be advances in every sector? Honestly, I'm not very sure, but depending on every sector, like a more in-depth study needs to be done to specify what could be the future there. Okay, I'm seeing some questions.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us, Michelle. The insights were really good. I'm very sure all
Thank
the
you.
delegates gained great out of it. This is Dr. Tushar Arya this side on behalf of Ishan Institute. One of the questions which I had was that AI is advancing at a very rapid pace. And
Mm,
of course, the younger generation is able to absorb this technology much faster. And while
yeah,
we understand that every new technology and every new tool should be regulated and have some rules and
yeah,
guidelines so that there
agree.
is no misuse of this technology in the overall, if you're talking about education, so there should be no misuse in education and there should be a
True.
fair play. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, considering the technology is very new and it's evolving, I think the
Mm-hmm.
guidelines, the rules and regulations will definitely take some time. As educators, as universities and policymakers are still going to take some time to have that clear set of guidelines which lay out how we can play with this tool in the process of assessment, in our submissions, in our research. In this time, in this while, do you suggest any precaution that we as educators or we as researchers should take while using AI or while assessing the submissions made using AI?
Yeah, I think I think there are many tools now allowing you to assess, similar to the Turnitin tools that allow you to assess if there are plagiarism happening in like this, the work that students, let's say, submit. There are tools also allowing you to see if AI was purely used to generate this document or there was some use of a human brain generating this document. So I think using those tools now would facilitate and would make it more fair um, in grading the different students. Let's say one student really didn't use any AI tools, and another student used an AI tool which had, I don't know, a better English than the other student. It wouldn't be fair to just grade the student who used the AI tool as better just because he had better English. But how would we know? So I believe there are some tools that we can leverage to make sure we are grading fairly in this case. And in the meantime, I know the guidelines will take some time. However, generating work in progress guidelines and draft guidelines and adapting them as we go and being agile in adapting them and also quick in the adaptation is also key. Like adapting them, maybe having a committee to adapt them on a monthly or even quarterly basis is key to be able to generate the guidelines and implement them. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very valid point that we can use tools to detect the use of AI so that we know whether the inputs have been given
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the
yeah.
student using his own creativity and knowledge, or
Mm,
whether it has been simply derived from artificial intelligence. And I also feel that, although AI is really helpful in assessment and in
mm,
personalized learning, but AI as of this stage can probably give us amazing insights in evaluating multiple choice questions. But again, if
yes.
we are
Quality, yeah.
evaluating an essay, or if we are evaluating story or a poem by a student, I think a human element would very much be necessary in such an scenario. So yes, this
Agree.
really answers. So we also have one question from
Mm.
one of the delegates, Ravi Kumar Yadav, who asks, what measures are needed to ensure AI systems in education are transparent, unbiased, and inclusive?
Yeah, I think definitely. Um First, I would like to maybe echo a comment that mentioned we need AI literacy. So before putting the measures to ensure AI systems are in education are transparent, thank you for the question, unbiased and inclusive, we need to understand what is AI and how we can apply AI, what are the different challenges we can face. And then while applying AI, we would be able to generate those measures to say, okay, how can I make it more transparent? Then maybe I'll use a tool to tell me, okay, in those multiple choice questions, has AI been used? Or in this, I don't know, as you mentioned here, qualitative essay submission, has AI been used? How can the measures be unbiased? Similar to the example we saw of US schools, we have to make sure that maybe the input given to assess or to do the assessment are not only reliant on, okay, rate the student if he has a better, I don't know, structure of the essay or a better handwriting. No, rate the student on really the contents. So it's for us to really define what makes a bias and then feed the guideline with those. So to have feed the guidelines or the measures with those features of bias or unbiased and inclusive as well. In terms of inclusiveness, just to make sure I got you right, is that it includes everyone. We're able to like use those measures on everyone. As you mentioned before, we need to make sure the infrastructure is there for everyone equally and not exclude anyone, be it in a rural area, an urban area, have the equal distribution of technology, the infrastructure, the usage of AI to have everyone included. I hope I answered the question. Let me know.
Yes, definitely. I think that answers. We have another comment over here uh, about having a syllabus
One more
and a
subject.
subject on how to use
Mm,
AI. But I think
mm,
over here I would like to add my own comments that adding a syllabus or a subject on the usage of AI
mm,
is not as simple as it may seem, because we have a lot of different disciplines. The students are from computer sciences, from
mm,
management, from commerce, from biology, from home sciences, from so there are n number of subjects. And then the level of education also varies. Some students might be from college, undergraduate, or postgraduate, or school. So, how much to teach, how much is relevant, and how much of it is going to be impactful in their professional career post education is also really important. So, I think at this
Yeah,
stage,
and
it's really important to sensitize students about fair usage and see that, you know, ethical practices are followed for better growth and learning
mhm.
rather than just passing an exam for the sake of it.
And I would like to add, Dr. Tushar, here is that, as you mentioned, how to use AI is a bit hard to define generally or generically because every discipline is different. Similar to the question that was asked on what is the future of AI in education, it also depends on the different disciplines we're trying to teach. If we're teaching medicine, if we're teaching, I don't know, engineering, math, I don't know, architecture, this differs. But being agile in defining what defines AI and how to use it, be having an open mind, and uh, by that I mean being ready to changing how the guidelines are set, to changing how the different measures are put, maybe on a monthly or quarterly basis, is key because it's a new topic, it's a new concept that we're applying as well. Uh,
Ma'am, we are having another question. What
mhm.
role can AI play in bridging the digital divide between rural and urban education systems?
Yeah, and bridging. Yeah, I think here we have two sides of the same coin. So the same AI that is maybe the same application of AI that is dividing the different, let's say, areas, or that is causing or making us notice more the uneven infrastructure and causing this divide. This same AI can also play a role in bridging the gap between, let's say, a rural area or an urban area. How can we bridge the gap? We need to have the proper infrastructure. Then we can don't we and we won't have any digital divide anymore. Let's say in rural area, we don't have the right infrastructure to set up, I don't know, the technological structures to implement the AI tools, to have also the AI, I don't know, the hardware to use the AI tool, then we're gonna have the divide. However, if we maybe set up some, we need budgeting definitely to set up those tools in the different rural areas. We need also the rules and regulations around it and then to apply it. However, if it's not there, we still have the divide.
Ma'am, we
Um,
have
I
another
think I would like
question.
to
infrastructure.
add something on this as well. I think
Yeah.
AI is going to play a very, very important role in bridging the urban and rural divide. So the best part about AI is that most of it is cloud based. So you would not really require a very high-tech machinery or a high-tech computer to make use of AI. It is accessible through an application on the cell phone, which most of us really have it. Secondly, AI is able to give you information in the language you prefer. So while Google was not really able to translate real time, AI is able to give you in most of the languages and it is improving day by day. So the knowledge or the content is available in the language that you need. It is available on the device that you have. And the computational power is of a cloud server, which you don't have to really spend upon. So I think this is going to be a very important factor in the consumption of knowledge in the upcoming time.
Thank you, Dr. Tushar. I can see a question that is a bit repetitive on how teachers are facing some resistance in adopting AI. What if AI replaces the roles of teachers? That's why putting, I think, guidelines, rules and regulations, measures on the usage of AI, limits on the usage of AI, and balancing out the usage of AI with the human oversight is very important. That's why teachers being part of setting up the guidelines is very important as well. Not only to preserve the jobs of teachers, but also to set up and to define what would be a fair usage of AI. How do we really grade the students? What are the best measures? What are maybe also the best practices around the world? What can we avoid doing? What are the success stories around the world of what's going on? And I believe a balance and moderation between both, I think, would give us the best formula, the human intervention, where also using AI as teachers could make your lives a bit, I don't want to say easier, but could make the job a bit more enjoyable in some cases, where you can focus more on content and less on maybe logistical tasks, could make things more interesting for you and also for the students. Yeah.
Ma'am, we have one more question from one of our delegate. What which areas of AI should be included for research in future in the field of education?
Yeah, which areas of AI for research? I think we have many areas. Let's say in healthcare, maybe we can focus on prevention instead of treatment. I'm just thinking out loud here. Let's say this is in the field of healthcare. In the field of economics, maybe how to avoid any devaluation or high levels of inflation. So it all revolves to me around how we can make the world a better place, but by applying whatever we have been going through in the previous, let's say, hundreds of years. Those could be topics, because I believe if we don't really read about the past, about what went through, we can not really plan for the future. We have to use the past as a learning. So in the future of education, of different disciplines, we really have to see what has been going on and build on it. So I gave the example of healthcare, prevention, economic downturn, sorry. Yeah.
Ma'am, we have one more question from our delegate Rohan. He would like to unmute himself and ask the question.
Sure, definitely.
Mr. Rohan, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, Michelle. This is Rohan.
Hello,
Uh,
nice to meet you.
so, see, the cost that is involved in developing the AI system right now, it's quite huge because it's quite in demand. So, any resource, like a resource, I mean, being the developers or being the solutions or platforms that we are using, they are very, very costly. So even if we think of developing something, there is a huge cost involved. So can you suggest any measures that we can follow, or any platforms or tools that are there which can be used to developing something good, like simple use case that is quite can be useful is the personalized learning tool for the students that teachers can use and students can use to interact between each other, right?
Yeah,
So
maybe I'll have, yeah, go ahead.
Right. So is there any, I mean, based on your experience, if you can suggest to the platform so that if we can follow something?
Different platforms for AI, you mean?
Yeah. So that can be cost efficient in developing something. So not much of the complicated or costly like AWS or any these kind of platforms. If we go ahead and use, they
Yeah,
have the predefined models, but they are very costly. And if we deploy it,
yeah.
uh, uh, we might not be able to
Yeah,
afford it.
it will be costly. Honestly, maybe I have to go back to you on the different tools. I'm aware of some tools, but I'm not sure if this will serve the purpose. So maybe I can share this answer with the organizers after the session, and then they can share it with all of you. But I understand your question. Just for me to give you the right answer, if that's okay,
I'd like to add on this. I think
please.
although I will not be able to answer the tools for developing AI applications, but for using applications by us as educators or us as students, I think we have a chat GPT which is free. Recently, they launched a Go version which is very economical of 400 rupees in comparison to the 2000 rupees per month charge that they were having. Besides this, Gemini is of course free, Claude is free, Grok is free,
There's
Sonar is free.
DeepSeek as
Most
well,
of
but
the AI applications that I'm not talking about the developer point of view, I'm talking about the usage point of view. So for usage point of view, most of the AI applications are free to use with their basic features. They work on the freemium model basis, wherein some features are free, and if you want advanced level of features, you have to pay a certain amount. And recently, I came to know that Perplexity.ai is providing all of these applications and they're free for use for Airtel users. So my point is, no, there are a lot of things which can be done. In our previous sessions also, speakers have discussed about Gamma, speakers have discussed about Canva, there's Gemini, there's a Quintillion. So if you want to refer to the slides, they are available on YouTube, and there are a lot of applications as users where you can make use of AI for your educational purposes.
Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am, there is one more question. AI tools
yeah,
sometimes show bias based on the date they are trained on.
true,
How
true.
how we can ensure fair and unbiased learning outcomes for students from diverse backgrounds?
I agree. I agree. We have lots of biased results from the different tools. I honestly suggest using comparing answers, comparing the outputs. So similar to the example I gave you on the research we were lastly doing for Abu Dhabi, we compared the answer from other tools, like as simple as using maybe Google or even talking to experts in the field. Let's say you're researching the field of medicine or of social affairs. Why not ask an expert in this field and then see what they tell you, or ask two experts in this field to make sure that the results that are given by, let's say, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or any other tool are taken with a grain of salt, because definitely they are biased based on the input given and based on the back end of this tool. So definitely use other, let's say, traditional tools like search engines, and also ask on the ground, ask different experts. Nothing, honestly, to me replaces really the like market intelligence and people on the ground. If, let's say, you're researching a certain market, go ahead and reach out to people in this market, because they would have more information, more reliable information.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another question. Most of the researchers are using AI tools for their research papers. Premature AI tools would be maturing tomorrow. How authentic these research would be after a while all these AI tools would identify plagiarism.
Yeah, not very authentic. Because as I think Dr. Tushar mentioned earlier, or I mentioned as well, is that we need to use, similar to how when we were in university and we used Turnitin to figure out where we were having like plagiarized parts in essays. Similarly, we have to use, if I'm understanding the quote or the question correctly, we have to use tools that would identify where was AI used in generating this report, for things to be authentic and fair also for the teacher and the student being graded here. So authentic would be, yeah, they
Ma'am,
are not authentic unless we really add the two steps, Turnitin and an AI measure of how much we're using or to which extent we're using AI in this case.
I think overall, I would like to add over here. I think overall, the system needs to evolve in the sense that assessment of education does not need to be based upon certain exams written in the end of the year. You don't really need to write an exam and all your marks, all your year's performance is based upon the answers that you wrote. Maybe the assessment can also be based upon group discussions. Maybe the assessments can also be based upon presentations. It can be based upon interviews. It can be based upon real life projects. And when we are able to achieve assessment at that level, it is more about the knowledge that the student has absorbed. It is more about the knowledge that the student is able to apply in real projects rather than just a submitted form or a submitted paper, which may be copied, which may be simply generated from an AI tool. So the overall assessment needs to evolve over time, which is definitely going to take time. But then the real question will be that it's okay to use AI, but the real question will be how much are you able to absorb the information that AI is providing you? And that is how it is going to make a change.
That's why being
Tulsi?
agile is key here, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Mr. Rohan would like to ask one more question, ma'am. Mr. Rohan,
Sure.
you can unmute yourself. Are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I was not able to unmute. So my question is on the follow-up question on my previous one. So why I asked the previous one was that a couple of students and myself, we were trying to develop a solution, which was
Okay.
basically that we found good research papers, different on AI topics only, and we wanted that to create something Q&A kind of we have created uploaded document at one place, and all
Okay.
the students can access this platform portal, and
Okay.
they can ask questions, and that answers will be provided from the documents. And now a
Okay.
few documents were of 20-25 pages, and few documents were long, like 100 pages, 125 pages, like that. And
Okay.
we found some open source solution that GPT suggested. It was, I think, RAG, random retrieval augmented your generator, something like that. And the team implemented that, but the problem that we were facing was it was not able to process the complete document, and only partial answers were coming to us. Okay. And at that
Okay.
time we struggled to figure out how we can move forward, because ChatGPT or anything that it suggests, basically, uh, that is limited. Implementation part is at our end only, right? And
Yes. Mm.
and and if we go for buying the premium license of ChatGPT, that will cost us $200,
Yeah.
I think. And through that, definitely we can create custom chatbots. But other than that, so that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that how we can create something at a cheaper cost, and
Cheaper.
sources that we can
The full
access.
documents.
Right. So full documents can be
Yeah.
processed, and answers can be provided on that.
Okay, so this is the main challenge that brought you to where, okay, we need a tool, we need to create
Right.
a
So
tool
we
that
are
could be more cost efficient.
right. So we are right now also struggling to figure out the solution for that. So that's
Okay.
why I thought of asking in the forum.
This is something we can definitely think about. Honestly, I don't have the answer now, but honestly, this is a great initiative, and I just wanted to when you were mentioning now, I had a question pop up, is that you have uploaded research studies, and whatever input you give this tool will generate the answer from those research studies only. Don't you want it to
Exactly. Yes.
also dig a bit
No.
wider in other areas, or
No.
no?
We don't want it to.
Okay.
Yes. We
Okay.
don't want to go to internet, because internet can be like what we call it gets a bit hallucination. We might get some random answers,
Okay.
because right,
Got
because
it.
when we are preparing for some exams, let's say in India, we ask for very specific knowledge, right? And if we are putting some random mission, it might cause
Mr. Rohan, your voice is
students.
cracking a
Yeah,
little bit.
we can't
You're
hear you
not
very well.
clearly audible. Can you just check your network once?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Right. So that's why we wanted to be very specific from the document only, not from the universe. So that was the whole idea.
Okay, definitely. I can honestly do some homework here and get back to the organizing team and let you know. It's a great initiative, but I'll get back to you on this.
Sure. That would be
Now
great.
I understand. Now I understand also why you need it, so it's easier maybe to
Yes.
find a proper
So
solution.
we
Yeah.
cannot request administration to spend $200 every month, so because they
Yeah.
will not agree, we know. But still, we want to do something, so that helps.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
if some of you might have heard in the news that recently CBSE allowed open book exams for class 9th. I think this is a very progressive step, and this is something which fixes the challenges posed by AI. Similarly, while I was doing my MBA, so we always had open book exams. So the whole concept and the logic behind having an open book exam is that they're not going to ask us something which is directly from the book. They're not going to ask, define this, or what is the five advantages of this particular thing. They are basically going to, for taking an example of accounts, probably for an accounts exam, an open book exam does not really make sense, because even if you give the book to the student, he's not going to find analysis of balance sheets or analysis of financial statements. And that is exactly what we need to evolve in all other domains as well. Even if you give the student an AI tool, or even if you give the student an open book to perform in the exam, all that matters is what exactly is he deriving out of that information? What is his analysis? What is his interpretation of the given facts? And that is what needs to eventually evolve. And that is, I think, also there in the new education policy, teaching through various different type of activities, and assessment should also be linked to those kind of activities. And by activities, I mean, may it be quizzes, may it be non-lecture activities, may it be debates and group discussions. So so while AI has a lot of advantages in processing of information, I think interpretation and analysis is a useful component which will shape the upcoming rules and how we are assessing our students. So I think this is also something which may change the change the upcoming education structure. Tulsi, do we have any other
Thank you so
question?
much, sir. Yes, sir. I also want to ask one question.
Sure.
Ma'am, my question is, what challenges do you foresee in scaling AI in education globally? And how can institutions start preparing today?
Yeah. The the first thing I thought about when you said globally, I thought maybe cultural differences. I know it's maybe we're using global AI tools here, but making sure that we we have local tools. So global tools with local adaptation. This is what we call global usually. You asked about, sorry, Tosi, you asked about the challenges, or because
Ma'am,
I
yes,
start speaking,
challenges.
but just
Should I repeat
yeah,
the question,
challenges.
ma'am?
No, it's okay. It's
Okay,
okay.
okay, ma'am.
So I think making sure we have a local adaptation, so to the global tool, but locally, making sure we take cultural differences, cultural implementation, and cultural needs in consideration. I'm sure we'll have a data privacy challenge, definitely, with no doubt. Data privacy and security. That's why having ethical guidelines put in place, not only put in place, but I mean set and also implemented, is very key. Also, I see a problem of let's say fairness across the world, because the digital literacy of the world is not similar across the globe, and the usage of technology and AI across the globe is not the same. So also I see challenges there. So mainly those three challenges, like cultural differences, mainly uh, equal distribution of technology and AI, and I forgot the second one, what I mentioned, but yeah, data privacy and security,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
definitely.
Ma'am, there is one more question from the delegate. Can we
Sure.
use AI in other discipline research like language?
Interesting. Yes, I think it's being used now in applications such as Duolingo. I don't know if you are familiar with Duolingo, the global app to use to learn different languages. I'm sure the algorithms in those apps are using AI somehow and adapting the learning to the different users. So it can definitely be used there. However, abusing it is also not recommended in this case, which is easy to do. So yeah, I could only think of Duolingo when you said languages, but I'm sure there are different apps and different methods, online methods where we can use AI there as well, in the literature, in the more, let's say, not the scientific part of the world or scientific disciplines of the world. Yeah,
Hi,
Thank you,
Michelle.
ma'am.
Ankit this side.
you're right.
I just want to ask something. Do you think AI really helps in building creativity or does it reduce originality? Look, little bit debatable, but just want to look
I can't
here.
hear you very well, so can you repeat?
I just want to ask, do you think AI really help in building creativity or does it reduce originality?
Originality. I think both. It depends here. That's why the key here is moderation, using it in moderation and in balance. It can add creativity because maybe it can give you additional thoughts or prompts you didn't think of. Whatever input you give ChatGPT, let's say, it can generate an output with additional ideas. It can give you more ideas. However, not all of those ideas could be relevant. They could be really irrelevant to the topic you're discussing because I believe ChatGPT wouldn't have the bigger context and the full story unless you really take the time to build on the premium parts of ChatGPT, let's say to input all the story, etc. So that's why the human oversight here is key. So it could increase creativity, give you more output, but it is, I think, on us human, not allow it to decrease our originality and to add the human aspect, the human oversight, to have this balance, not overly rely on it, but up to a limit, up to an extent, where we can still add our input. Because I believe we're brought into this world to really use our brains somehow, not only rely on tools to make things for us, but maybe use our brains to make those tools serve us and not the other way around, not us serving those tools. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It looks like we don't have any more questions. If anyone asks to any question, they can. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. You and Tushar sir had a great talkings, and you suggested us many things. But what I learned still about the AI, how we should use AI. I think if in for the from the point of view of a researcher, it is unethical to use ChatGPT for research. But if I am thinking for mathematical, to use mathematical formula, like for the example, I want to understand what is discounting factor. Either for the example, if I am deriving standard deviation, then I can ask ChatGPT. I can ask ChatGPT for how this formula derived. Either I can go for, I mean to say, for whole this discussion, what I understand, to use AI for only for the critical thinking, where for ethical purpose, not to use for our research purpose. And one more thing, what I noticed, so this time, many person are using ChatGPT as a personal diary. That will be
Yeah,
more dangerous for future for them,
for data
because
privacy and
I
security,
think
agree.
this, am I right? AI should be only
Definitely.
limited to critical thinking work, and not for the. Am I right, ma'am?
I think you can. I think it's up to you. you have to decide how you want to use it. You can use it to generate ideas and use those ideas in such a way to serve you, not the other way around. And you can also use it to harm yourself, harm other people around you, and maybe not to the advantage of your audience, let's say. So
Yeah.
you can use it for critical thinking, maybe to also review some of the research you have done, however, not rely on it. There should be a balance applied here. And this is why human oversight is very important. And what you mentioned on people using it as a diary, and the example I gave on people here in Lebanon using it as a mental health support tool for lack of maybe better options is also something we face as well, which could also jeopardize data privacy and security. So definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Adding a little bit over here, I think considering this session is about the challenges of using AI, challenges of using AI in education. See, we all come from a very different mindset. While some of us may be very comfortable in sharing our personal information on the social media, sharing our pictures on social media, some of us may be very private and do not want to share all that information with the public. Something that we don't realize while using these AI tools is that all of the information that we are feeding in these AI tools is going to a master database. So, even if you're uploading your personal pictures on ChatGPT to improve the quality of those pictures, or you're copy pasting your research paper and asking a particular AI tool, or you're asking ChatGPT or any other tool for that matter, that dear tool, help me improve the English or help me check the grammar of this research paper. Now, what is happening is that even before you have published that paper, that research, that those photographs, all those have gone to the database of that AI server. So knowingly or unknowingly, you have already shared your confidential information, which will be eventually used to give answers to the other users. So I think that there is little knowledge or little information about how our data is being used to further enhance the AI tool, even though that information or that files or information that we are uploading may be confidential. Some people, as Deepak ji rightly said, some people are using it as a personal diary. Some people are asking personal questions. Some people may be uploading a very confidential question paper for further improvising questions in that question paper. But all that information is going to a master database. So we should always be very careful and cautious about what exactly is confidential, what exactly cannot be put in the public domain.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Now, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for taking the time to be with us today. We truly value the warmth and clarity with which you shared your knowledge with us, ma'am. Your
Thank
insights
you for
made session
listening.
not only impactful, but also a memorable learning experience for all of us. I would also
Thank
like to
you.
thank Tushar sir for making the session so interactive and giving such diverse insight to the session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for being here and really nice to meet everyone. And yeah, let's use AI wisely
Yes,
and
ma'am,
avoid.
definitely.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
thank you, ma'am. Now, as we come to the close of today's session, I feel privileged to extend the vote of thanks on behalf of Ishan Institute of Management and Technology. First and foremost, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our renowned speakers, Engineer Anupam Pandey sir and Ms. Michele Sayah ma'am for their insightful and thought-provoking session. I would also like to thank all the participants for their active engagement and contributions, which made the sessions even more meaningful. A special note of appreciation goes to our FDP coordinator, Dr. C. A. Tushar Arya sir, and our co-coordinator, Mr. Deepak Dikshit sir, and the entire organizing team for their dedicated efforts. With that, I once again thank everyone for being a part of today's session and making them so impactful. Before we take the group photograph, I would like to share some important guidelines for tomorrow. The session will begin at 2 p.m. and will continue till 8 p.m. An online test will also be conducted, and all the details will be shared in the WhatsApp group, so stay connected. Now, I request all the participants to switch on their cameras for the group photograph. Thank you so much, everyone. Now I request to leave the meeting. All the participants can switch off their cameras and may now leave the meeting. Thank you so much.